who is the director of the U.S.-China Business Council in Washington. Anna, thank you for your time for TRT World. So how is this affecting the businesses in the U.S.?
Well, tariffs are never a good thing for business. They create uncertainty, and uncertainty prevents businesses from wanting to make deals, and it prevents them from wanting to hire. We have been urging the administration not to use tariffs as the tool for resolving U.S.-China trade differences from the outset. So this was definitely a disappointing series of events this week.
So the talks ended with no announcement of agreement. What do you make of this latest round of talks? Do you think we will have a deal soon?
It's really hard to say. It seemed as if negotiations were going really well for the past few weeks, and I think most people watching them expected there to be some sort of agreement this week. But apparently, talks broke down because of the fact that there were differences between the two governments in terms of how China's commitments were going to be implemented. The U.S. government wanted China to rewrite certain laws to deal with IPR protection, tech transfer, subsidies, state-owned enterprises, and other things that were critical in the negotiations. China, it seems, may have run into some procedural challenges with rewriting laws, so it proposed a counteroffer with some different means for implementing its commitments, but the U.S. government didn't feel that those means were sufficiently firm. It wanted something more legally binding. So that's how we got here. Frankly, it's not really surprising that the tariffs ultimately were put in place on Friday morning, because it's a slow process between the U.S. government deciding that it might do something like that and then actually being able to implement it. So that's, it's sort of silly, but that's probably why it took from Sunday, when President Trump tweeted that he wanted to do this, until Wednesday morning for the U.S. government to formally announce that it might do it. And then Vice Premier Liu He only arrived in Washington yesterday afternoon, and that means that he had less than 12 hours and probably closer to 6 or 7 to make any new proposals, discuss them with the U.S. negotiators, and try to stop this, this train from rolling.
So the new tariffs largely affect business equipment, but also consumer products. And Trump said more is about to come. Now, could this affect China's decision?
In terms of what it does with its offers? Possibly, but I think, the Trump administration needs to think really hard about whether or not it really wants to impose more and higher tariffs. This tit-for-tat increase in tariffs from both sides is hurting a lot of constituencies. Yes, it's hurting U.S. businesses. It's also hurting farmers. It's hurting ranchers. It's hurting workers. And I agree with you, it's going to hurt consumers. The damage to farmers has already been really significant. Our recent survey shows that many of the U.S. states with agricultural exports have experienced a 50% drop in their exports in the last year because of these tariffs, and that's only going to get worse with the tariff increase. And then, although consumers maybe haven't felt a significant impact from the tariffs so far, there's a big difference between a 10% tariff and a 25% tariff. A 10% tariff can be mitigated by companies by sharing costs with their suppliers and by reducing profit margins. But that's just not going to be possible with a 25% tariff.
Okay, thanks so much for that. Anna Ashton, the director of the U.S.-China Business Council in Washington.